Hi, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up your mail settings, how to connect your mail to Cloudflare correctly, and have the settings connect to a mail client correctly using IMAP, POP3, and SMTP with Cloudflare. So I'm going to go ahead and log into the Plesk control panel. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to domains, and we're going to check out rootpaldemo.com. This is my domain name, and we are going to go to the Plesk DNS settings. So we're going to check out the DNS settings, which you could find right here. And it's going to say your website is offline because its domain name does not resolve to the server IP address. And it's kind of right and it's kind of wrong. I'm actually using Cloudflare as my CDN. And so I've configured my Cloudflare correctly. But the thing about Cloudflare is that they don't tell you is they don't process mail. They do not process any type of mailing, so mail cannot go through Cloudflare. So if you're using web hosting such as Plesk or cPanel or another provider, any provider really, you're going to have to create mail records that aren't using the Cloudflare DNS. And you can see it right here. I created a record called mail as the name, and a record, and I'm pointing it to the server's IP address without the DNS, the proxy enabled. And to enable the proxy, just click this little icon right here. So now that step is done, if we go back into the Plesk settings, and before you see that, you can see my MX records too. They point directly to the mail.rootpaldemo.com, which is how you're supposed to have it. Most of the time it might say MX records pointing to rootpaldemo.com, but you want it to point to mail.rootpal.demo.com because this points to the server IP without the proxy. So we have to make sure all our mail records, anything mail, is not pointing to or not using the proxied Cloudflare proxy. So there's a couple things we're gonna have to do. One, we want SSL and TLS enabled. So Cloudflare does provide you a free SSL. However, they don't provide SSL for mail. So if you're going to be using SSL and TLS, which I recommend, you're going to need to install it right here. And when you install it, it's going to ask you if you want to use mail and secure your mail for IMAP, POP, and SMTP. And so you're going to have to click yes, and you're going to need to create that A record after you create the after you secure it with SSL. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and redo it. I'll reissue it. So I'm going to click get free, and then you're going to check all of them. It's not going to use these three because, that's being handled by the Cloudflare. So these three don't matter. Just leave them checked anyways. It doesn't matter. But you're going to click assign the certificate to a mail domain. Click get it free. And it's going to generate a TXT record that you need to put into Cloudflare. And here's the TXT record. So we're going to grab this. This is the name, right? And I'm going to delete the one I already have. So I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to add a new TXT record. You're going to input the name, and you're going to put the value, which is this right here. And you're going to put it right there. And you're going to click save. And now I just added the SSL through Let's Encrypt for mail. So even though I'm using the Cloudflare SSL for everything else, I want my mail to be through Let's Encrypt because it's touching the Plesk server. So you click reload, and it should detect the TXT record on Cloudflare and say it's installed correctly. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes for the changes to take effect just because it's, DNS. So we're going to go back to here now, and we're going to go back to our DNS settings. And so you might think everything's done. We got the MX records. The mail is not proxied, but actually we have a couple different records that do not exist in here that we need to add for it to work with a mail client such as Outlook, any other mail client you're going to use. We need to make sure we add the ports to be open. So as you can see, I have the IMAP one right here, and you can see the target is mail.rootpaldemo.com. So I'm going to go into the Plesk DNS, and I'm going to see the other SRV records we need to add. So as you can see, there's the SMTP one. So we're going to add this one. So what you do is you just need to add an SRV record. And we're going to copy the service name. So we're going to do an underscore, and we're going to put SMTPS and TCP. And the name is going to be root. And if you put @ that's the same as putting rootpaldemo.com. We're going to put the priority at 0. We're going to put the port at whatever port it says right here, which is 465. And the target's going to be mail.rootpaldemo.com. So there we go. So here's the SMTP one, and we're going to click save. Oh, and the weight, which you could find right here, is going to be 0 weight record. So you can find everything right here. And so we're just going to click 0, or type 0 and click save. And you do the same thing for the other record, which now that we have SMTP and we want to add POP3. So we're going to add the underscore POP3S, priority 0, weight 0, and the port 995. 995 is that port, and @ and mail.rootpaldemo.com. And so that's going to be your domain name, mail. Whatever your domain name is. And I'm going to click save. And now we have our SRV records. We have the IMAP, POP3, SMTP. And so now that we have these records in, we can actually use the SMTP or the POP3 or the IMAP in a mail client. So let's go ahead and create an email address and connect it to the mail client. So I'm going to be testing the Windows mail client. This is a free mail client that's provided by Windows. And every mail client is going to be different on the setup. I'm not going to say this exact mail settings are going to work, because in Outlook it's a little bit different. In other mail clients it's a little bit different. On your phone it's a little bit different how you set it up. It's relatively the same if you get everything right, the ports, the settings, but I'm going to show you how it works for the Windows mail one. So let's create an email address. And so we're going to create an email into mail accounts. And I'm going to create an email address. And so let's just call it test. And we'll just generate a random password. And that's it. We'll click OK. And there we go. So now we can test it. So now I'm going to add a new account. And we're going to scroll down to other account POP IMAP. And so we're going to type in test@rootpaldemo.com. Send your message using test rootpal, which is your name. I'm going to enter the password we created and click sign in. And I think this is going to fail. Oh, no, that worked. Okay. So the reason I said this is going to fail is because, let's see. Because, you know, sometimes it wants you to enter the advanced settings. So let's just see if it works. Let's send a test email to test@rootpaldemo.com. And yeah, it worked. So, I mean, it auto-discovered it. So let me just go through the steps to set it up the advanced way, just because, you know, that's how you should do it. But this is really great that it works automatically and just syncs automatically. So let me go through the advanced way. So I'm going to remove this account real quick, and I'm going to add it the advanced way. And then we're going to click internet email, and here we go. So now we're going to do test@rootpaldemo.com. Username is test@rootpaldemo.com. Password, account name, test Rootpal. How we're going to send our email messages as test Rootpal, which would be your name. The account name just goes under accounts. It's just, you know, incoming mail server, mail.rootpaldemo.com. We're going to choose IMAP. That's my favorite one because it will delete the emails off the web server if I delete them here. POP3 will not. It will, if you delete them on your mail client, it'll stay in the cloud. So mail.rootpaldemo.com. And we're going to leave all these checked because we did enable SSL. The outgoing server does require authentication because we're using SMTP, and we are using SSL for both incoming and outgoing. So these settings should work. This is the advanced way, but now we know the easy way also works as well once you configure it correctly. But I'm going to click sign in, and it should add the account, and there you go. It was added successfully, and now I have my mail that just downloaded. And there you go. That's how it works. So if you do not have these SRV records correctly entered into your Cloudflare or wherever your DNS lives, right? So you can be using your domain registrar DNS. You could be using their DNS instead of Rootpal's name servers. So if you don't use Rootpal's name servers or your web hosting's name servers, then you're going to have to make sure whoever, you know, if you're using Plesk or cPanel or whatever hosting panel, you need to make sure those DNS records, the DNS settings exist at the DNS location of your domain. For right now, it's Cloudflare. That's my DNS provider. If you use GoDaddy and you're not using custom name servers pointed to Rootpal, and you want to use, you know, GoDaddy's DNS and point the records and add your A record or do whatever, right? You still need to have those SRV records created. You need the TXT for the SSL Let's Encrypt, and you need the MX record as well as the mail A record pointing to the IP. And if you're using Cloudflare, you need to disable the proxy because for some reason, Cloudflare does not have great documentation that they do not process mail through their proxy system. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna fail. So don't try and proxy it. But that's it. That's how you set up your mail correctly with the SRV records and how you connect it to a mail client, at least Windows mail client. If you want to, you know, connect it to your phone, we'll be creating a video for that. We'll also be creating a video for Outlook as well, just because I know some people have issues connecting, you know, their email clients using Plesk. But if you have it set up like this, you should be fine. You should be good to go. So thank you, and see you next time.